Okay, let's talk about how to summarize now. I'm going to show you some methods and you can combine them if you want, or just use one of them, or take ideas from some and some ideas from some others. Hopefully, after you watch this video and finish reading chapter 5 in Allyn and Bacon, you'll be more comfortable with summarizing. The first method is using top-down reading. I always liken top-down reading to um, going on a trip, going to a new city and going to the top of a building, looking out over the city, seeing the structure of the city, the way the buildings are set up, and the natural features and things like that. And you kind of start to make expectations, or you start to form expectations and make assumptions about the city, like what the streets might look like and what's going on down there. And so I kind of want you to do the same thing when you're top-down reading. What kind of text is this? What do you know about that genre? What are the overall features, titles, headings, pictures? What do you find yourself expecting from the text? Look for important overall supporting points and conceptualize this information in a graphic organizer, which is a visual illustration of a verbal statement. They help you understand the text better and they show you the key parts of the whole. And they help you get past trivial details because details never belong in a summary. So here's the first one, a network tree. What you would do is you would take information from the text. The big ideas would go in the big bubbles and the smaller ideas would go in the smaller bubbles. And that'll help you kind of see what's important stuff in the big bubbles and what's less important stuff that would go in the little bubbles. Same with the spider map, it's kind of the same deal. Your thesis or the thesis of the text might go in the middle and the main ideas would go out on these legs and then these branches would have the details. And it would help you see what's important and what's less important. So you could, when you're summarizing, you could take what's in the middle and take what's on the legs and put that in your summary and leave the detail stuff out of the summary. And here's another one, the fishbone is a good way to graphically conceptualize a text. So you use these by plugging information from the text into one of the organizers. And then when you're finished, the structure will represent main ideas. Um, Graphic organizers help you locate the article's main divisions or parts. And the details will fall away. They'll kind of get pushed out. Once you start plugging information into a graphic organizer, uh, the details you'll find that a lot of them don't fit in there. And that's because they're not that important. Another way to summarize is using bottom-up reading, where you make big general categories out of the smaller details. So what you can do to summarize from the bottom up is you can read each paragraph and develop a gist statement for each one, which is a explanation of what the paragraph does and what it says. So let's look at an example from the book. And this is about climate change. It's Why Bother. It's written by Michael Pollan, and it's in your book in chapter 5. So here's a whole paragraph, and what we're going to see next is what that paragraph did. It introduced the need for environmental action. That's what it did, because every paragraph does something. Every paragraph works to help support the thesis. So um, this paragraph did its job by introducing that. But what it's saying, the words are saying that we as individuals often wonder if our small actions are worth it in light of the big climate change problem. So that's what it's actually saying. But this is kind of why it's saying it. Let's look at another example. So, we could read this and say it to somebody else, and we'd be kind of telling them what it said, but it's also doing something. And what it's doing is expressing an alternative view, partially conceding to it, and then asserting a counter view. What it actually says is, although big money is important to reverse climate change, individuals need to make changes too. So you can develop one of these for each paragraph. If you're having trouble doing that, you can use topic sentences, which is a sentence in a paragraph that basically talks about what the paragraph is going to deal with. And if an author gives you one, you can just pull it out and say it in your own words. So find a topic sentence in this paragraph. You can pause the video if you want. Okay, so did you find one? This is it. It was the second sentence in the paragraph. So what you could do is you could, if you wanted to turn this topic sentence into kind of a says and does statement combined, you just add a signal phrase to it and reword the sentence and say something like, Kennedy continues her article by describing the health benefits that she has personally gained from practicing yoga. So all I did was add a signal phrase and reword that. I paraphrased it, put it in my own words. Sometimes you might not be able to find a topic sentence and you can invent one. Remember that a topic sentence contains a topic and a comment. The sentence, it's about yoga, is not considered a main idea or a topic sentence. Yoga what? What about yoga? So yoga has had a huge effect on my health and well-being is a topic sentence because it contains a topic, yoga, and a comment on yoga. It's had a huge effect on my health and well-being. So let's look at an example of inventing a topic sentence. You can pause and read this. Okay, now that you've read it, you've probably seen that it's kind of hard to find a topic sentence here. So we have to invent one. It's about ants is not going to work because that's just a topic. There's no comment on it. So ants are sophisticated and organized creatures. That is a topic sentence. If you were to take that sentence and put it in here somewhere, it would really help the paragraph, but there isn't one. So that's not the point. That's not what we're doing here. We're not fixing paragraphs. But now that you have a topic sentence that you've found, you can put it down here, add a signal phrase, and say she continues by describing the sophisticated social organization and chemical communication activity of ants. And there you have something that you can use in a summary. Putting it all together, now that you have developed says statements for each paragraph, or now that you've developed topic sentences for each paragraph, you can put them all into a list or put them into a graphic organizer. And then you want to join all the says statements or topic sentences, join them all together. Use the does statements to help you develop signal phrases. Combine the ideas into sentences and revise them to make sure they're clear and structured. Go back and read the original text to make sure you're hitting all the main points and being fair to the author. Okay, one more method would be just another way of thinking about it, I guess, is getting rid of unnecessary detail and boiling it down, saying things in a different, shorter way. You can pause the video and think about this. So next slide, I'll show you how I did it. I just took some words out that were details and adjectives or little mentions of things that weren't really important to the main ideas. I took them out. And then I boiled it down even further. That's what I had on the last slide. And then I turned it into this. So you might want to pause and see what I did here. And so then I went even further and I added an author tag, and I basically took that whole paragraph and got it down to this. I could probably even boil it down even further. I mean, it would depend on what kind of summary I'm writing. Is it a standalone or is it for a research paper? So anyways, you want to make sure that every summary you write has these elements. You remember these? Okay. And one last way to check up is to use the criteria for an effective summary from Allyn and Bacon on page 102. Does it represent the original text fairly? Is it concise and direct? Is it objective? Don't reveal your ideas on the subject, just the author's. Is it balanced and proportional? Does it use the writer's own words? You got to use your own words in a summary, not the author's words. Does it use signal phrases? If you do use quotations, don't use too many, only if you need to convey the flavor of the original. And is it a unified piece of writing in its own right, and does it cite and document the text according to MLA standards? And if you can say yes to all these things, then you have a great summary. Good luck.